Full time. Doing gang things. Living super clean. That done came up. Can't control us. One time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. One time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. Look at you, you done came up now. Get it how you live, mess the game up now. Ain't messing with yoga, but get the flame up. Hey, used to be Toby, but got your name back now. I see ya, paid under pressure. 25 lighters got them all on the dresser. If it ain't for you, ain't for you then. If you a lame or a sucker, wanna dress you then. Grown up now, bump the childish ways. Got a wife and a bunch of kids to raise. Punch a clock side hustle or a business you endure to ensure that all the bills is paid. Slow clap for your homeboy. Could've turned out like your homeboy. Being on the same block, cooking up the same rock on the cell block lot with your homeboy. But no, you had vision, you had gold. Brand new you on the old time road. Take care of home where you bust your low. Black men don't teach screaming on the hoe. Real men talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom, boy, you PD grade. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. One time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the folk that have moved up. Even if you had the slow start screwed up. Used to gang bang, now homie brewed up. Had a little plan, I had them blew up. Look at you like a man right now. Dressed to the T, smelling like a grand right now. And you ain't got nothing from a handout now. Just faith and hard work, gets it planned out now. You could've took a bunch of dusty roads. The hand dealt with a bunch of cards to fold. To stay hot while the world is freezing cold. The same plot, but the story's never old. Slow clap for your kinfolk. Could've been asking what your info. Prosecutor could be trying to do you in for the 2020 twins, so you passing out the info. But no, you had purpose, you had plans. I ain't doing nothing, I'ma say these bands won't impress y'all, don't need no fans. That ain't my God, who is that man? This real men talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom, boy, you peep these grades. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. Yeah, real man. Sheesh. Yeah. Doing gang things. Mono. Living super clean. That it came up.
1 time for my king doing king things. Mom these hoes cause he know he got a good thing. I submit and I cook and I clean and I never hold back on that pop, I'ma let it rain. Made me honest, I got a ring. All praises to the most high, let it sing. A real man able, sister never came. And I ain't going nowhere, this is not a game. Look at you, girl, you're lonely right now. Settling for bums instead of men the most high. He provide and protect so he get our respect. And he leading us aboard when them chariots fly. I don't really think you hear me though. You can't cross this bridge on some billy goats. Let them save you in the end like a Seminole. Be as help me, shout to let the silly go.
1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean.
Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord. Saints, it's your favorite housewife, Miss Mono. Shalom, 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 Angelina. Okay, look at you getting it, girl. You go. So listen, my workout has been slipping lately. I'm not even gonna front with y'all. I wasn't gonna out myself, but you know what? Excuse me, I'm gonna move that chair. I believe in keeping it real with y'all. So like I just haven't really been feeling good. Yesterday and today. It was like the boys had some sinus allergy thing, and so whatever they get, I get. So, blah. But I did walk today. I did go for a walk, so I did something. So, all praises to the Most High for being here this evening. How are y'all doing? I hope everyone is well. I want to thank y'all for being here with me this evening. You could have been anywhere else in this worldwide internet, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. A few things we're going to talk about on Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass today. The main topic, You're Stuck in the Past, Part 2. I don't know if you guys recall, a few weeks ago, we talked about being stuck in the past. We're going to go into Part 2 of that today. And then something, see, okay, that's what I'm saying. As long as I did something, okay, I did something. I didn't do anything yesterday. I was laid up. My head was too heavy for me to even try to move it yesterday, so I didn't do anything yesterday. Also, before we get into what's going on in Babylon, I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I have changed my name. Everything is going to be at Miss Mono's World right now. Not only on social media, but we started a new YouTube for my other content. So you see all my content from IG and TikTok in one place. That's going to be at Miss Mono's World. We're not live on that channel yet because we still got to get everything set up. But IG, TikTok, share, tell a friend, all that good stuff. My throat hurt. Okay, what's going on in Babylon? And so I know y'all not gonna believe me when I tell you this. I know you're not. So I want to provide proof because we live in a world where pretty much anything goes. I don't know if you all are familiar with the saying, "What thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." But that's kind of the world now. It's kind of like whatever to do, whatever feels good to you, you should be free to do it, and no one should tell you that you're wrong about it. So I want to talk to you guys today about something called transableism. Transableism. I'm going to pull up this picture here. Transableism. And it is what you sound like. What you sound like. It is what it sounds like. Basically, let's read from the article. Some people have come forward sharing that they choose to be disabled and live their lives hooked to a machine rather than experience a functional life. Okay. So this is a real thing. These people are actually hurting themselves, impairing themselves. The impairment a transabled person wishes to have can take the form of anything between paralysis to amputation. Sources claim that being transabled falls under the body integrity identity disorder umbrella, which is a psychological disorder that manifests in healthy people who wish to be physically impaired. Okay, so it's a mental illness. They have a mental illness for it. But I don't know if you guys remember other types of body changing, other thought affirming behavior was also once listed as a mental disorder, and now we see where that is. Let's see. I wanted to read about, okay, here we go. In 2013, Chloe Jennings White went viral on social media after revealing that she wanted to be permanently paralyzed. In an interview with ABC4, she revealed that she wanted to be disabled ever since she was 9 years old and tried to paralyze herself by riding her bike off a stage, but ended up with only a few bruises. As years progressed, she continued to push herself to the limit in hopes of disabling herself. In an interview, she revealed, during any activity that brings a chance of me becoming paraplegic gives me a sense of relief from anxiety caused by BIID. Paraplegia refers to the impairment of the motor or sensory function of the lower part of the body. In Jennings White's case, she has been using leg braces to feel paraplegic. However, she could just take off her leg braces and still have fully functioning legs. Um, I so there's this lady right here that I just read to y'all about. No, it is real. It is real. I want to stop. Trust me. It is real. There's a lady that was on Dr. Phil, and I saw the clip and I can't find a clip, but she purposely blinded herself with some kind of cleaning fluid or whatever, purposely like threw it in her eyes and blinded herself. I read another story about a person who um wanted his arm amputated so bad that he would practice trying to amputate his own arm without killing himself. He would use like raw meat to practice how to do this. And he's tried it multiple times. And multiple times he's been to the hospital and they fixed his arm. And I think if I remember correctly from what I'm reading, like he finally got it off with a power tool or something like that. But no, it's real. There are really people out here who say they honestly feel like they should have been born disabled. And so it sounds crazy to you and me, right? That sounds odd. Why would anyone well, I mean, a normal person, you or I, we look at a person who I don't want to be offensive, but we look at a person who's disabled and we feel sorry for them. We feel sympathy for them. Is it ever in anyone's thought, I'd like to trade places with them and become disabled myself, and then to purposely take yourself through the pain? That's a new level of sick. What a slap in the face to people who really suffer from disabilities. Exactly. That is so insulting. It's almost a mockery. It's a mockery. I just can't believe that these people are doing this. Brianna, shalom and shalom. So what they're trying to say is that it's a neurological disorder where their sensory neurons aren't quite working the way that they should. So maybe their right arm isn't communicating with, the brain properly. That's what they're trying to say it is in terms of a possible neurological disorder. I just want to say that as much as we used to complain about how our grandparents were so strict and they wouldn't let us watch certain things and see certain things and do certain things, I would just like to say, if we take a look around right now, we can see that maybe grandma and them wasn't wrong. Like maybe they wasn't wrong. I mean, how who could have predicted that the slope would become this slippery? Who could have ever predicted that now everything with the word trans in front is a mockery of those who live the actual life? It is, absolutely. It is an absolute mockery. It's an affront. It is, I'm not even gonna get into that because as far as women being affected, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, womanhood is being appropriated as we speak. So I'm not even gonna get into that. But this so this is this is why they were trying to keep us from sin. This is why certain things just weren't allowed. And everybody wants to talk about how, oh well, they were doing this back in the day. Listen, evil has always been among us. It has. But does that mean that we shouldn't try to keep ourselves from it just because even in the church, just because, there's scandals and situations going on, does that mean that we just say, oh, well, forget any kind of decency, morality? I'm just going to, go out here and expose myself to whatever I want? That doesn't make any sense. And that is not, other people's sin is not an excuse for us to live like we don't have any sense. And I don't necessarily want to use the term holiness because we know now that holiness is keeping the law. We know that It's not necessarily in your outward appearance. We get that. Even though we are commanded to be modest. But it's like we we're so busy standing on the sins of the past that we totally forget about the good that they taught us, the good that they were trying to instill in us. There was a reason they told us to wear our skirts to our knees and cover ourselves up and to, not be involved with certain people and not hang around and not do certain things. And now we're living in a world where anybody can do anything that they want to do. And it's past the point of people just having their rights, right? If we go back to the 90s, okay, let's just go back to the 90s when it was just when the eligibility community just wanted to be able to live their life, right? They just wanted to be able to be themselves. They just wanted to be able to be free. And we went from that, which if you look at it from just a natural standpoint, when it comes to someone and their what you would call civil rights, your civil rights are your civil rights until they infringe upon my rights. Right now, it's a problem, and I think we can all agree to that. What you do in your house and on your property is your business, but when you start coming to my house and my property, now it's a problem. And so what you have is a group of sinners, a group of you have the eligibility community here who went from just wanting the right to do what they wanted to do in their home. Now they want the right to do what they want to do in your home and to subject you and your children to it. Okay. So now maybe do we understand why when let's go back to the Bible, right? Because everybody likes to talk about how harsh it was in the Old Testament. But can you see now why God was like, no, nip it in the bud, get rid of the person that does this, get rid of these people that do that, cut them off, excommunicate them, stone them, get them from among you. Because now look where we are. And hear me out what I'm about to say right now. I don't know if you remember a time when certain people did certain crimes, right? Like you could be watching the news and you would hear about something happening. And what's the first thing you would say? That was a person. Or that was a person. It just depended on what happened, right? You already knew the racial background of the assailant, right? There was a time when Black people just didn't do certain things, like just certain things that Black people was just not having no parts of. But now we're at the time when you can't say that anymore. You don't know who's behind the crime anymore. You really have to wait until you see the mugshot. And so, can we now understand why we were supposed to be separated? Because sin and evil is not self-contained. It does not stay to itself. It seeks to devour others with it. Every time we beg for representation in the public arena, we are always ostracized, made a fool of, brought down to our lowest form. Always. And This is what happens when you become a part of them. And now, guess what? You're going to be on your job, or you're going to be on your job, or you're going to be in a grocery store, or something, and some person with a fully functioning body sitting in a wheelchair is going to claim some type of preference over you because in their mind they're disabled. And so as a woman, right, as a real biological woman, I'm totally feeling how a disabled person would feel. It's like you are being made of no effect, right? And women, hear what I'm saying. If these trans women continue with this campaign of I am a woman because I said so, we biological women now have no say, no weighing, no nothing to do with womanhood, um and the way that we have to live it, because now you have biological men influencing and constructing what it means to be a woman. And we're already complaining about the lack of health care for Black women, how we die at a higher rate. But what do you think is going to happen when now you have biological men who do not have to deal with any of the issues, don't have a uterus, a ovary, a cervix, nothing, you don't have anything to deal with that a real woman has to deal with. Y'all think it's bad now. We like to talk about how sexist our the patriarchy. How you think it's bad now? How bad do you think it's gonna be when a woman's voice is totally obsolete? And to bring it back to the trans-able, how bad is it gonna be when people who weren't really born this, when people who did it to themselves start trying to assume your identity? Now your experience becomes null and void, right? Because everybody, anybody can be disabled now. What do you need extra parking spots for? Anybody, you probably did that to yourself, so you can just. What do you need a ramp for? You did it to yourself. Get up and walk. And y'all can tell me if y'all think I'm tripping, but I think we've seen this happen enough times to understand what happened to people. I mean, come on, Negroes. They hijacked our whole civil rights movement. Speaking of hijacking movements, maybe this should be under wickedness of the week. That man's name. I saw an article, and I kind of, I don't like to read sad news. And all the news is sad, right? It's all sad these days. Um, but I try not to like look too much into it. But I don't know if you all, and I just wanted to look up this man's name, Jordan Neely. I don't know if you all are familiar with the story of Jordan Neely. Let me put it up on the screen just in case you are not. But this brother was he was a homeless man in New York City. And as you can see here, okay, this is Mr. Neely right here. being held down in a chokehold by this Caucasian gentleman, and also being assisted in being held down by this gentleman over here, who, by witness accounts from the article I read earlier, is a Negro also. Why are they doing this to this man, you ask? Because he was on the subway doing his Michael Jackson impersonations, and after he finished, he said he was hungry and he wanted some water, and he threw his jacket on the floor. He threw his jacket on the floor. And so apparently the people on the train felt threatened, and that, I don't want to call him a gentleman, that monster went into action. And people sat there and watched him kill Mr. Neely in a chokehold. And there you saw the other guy holding him down. And from another article I read, there was someone holding his feet as well. So there are 3 people holding this young brother down. And he dies. And this man is free to go. He isn't arrested or anything. He's an ex-Marine. He isn't arrested. He's the hero now. But the hero from what? The hero from what? He wasn't shooting anybody. He was, so what? He said he was hungry and thirsty. That's a reason to die now? So there are protests going on right now. People are calling for this man to be arrested. If you ask me, he should have been arrested. He should have been arrested as soon as it happened. But so we'll see about that. And we're definitely praying for Mr. Neely and his family. And with this just senseless loss that they're dealing with. Excuse me, y'all. All right, so let's get to the main topic. Why Boaz don't want your ass? You're still stuck in the past. We're going into part 2. Last time we talked about this, we talked about how, you have to let things go, things and people. You have to leave them behind in order to progress in life. But what I want to talk to y'all now about is once you leave there. And I know you all heard about people, coming after Simone Biles because of her hair at her wedding, because her baby hairs wasn't laid down and whatever. And like, I'm honestly at the when I see articles like that, I really wonder, like, is this black people saying this, or is this the media just trying to have some mess going on? But I saw a couple of tweets and stuff, and I was like, oh, people really are this shallow. Okay. And let me just say this. I, for one, am tired of the baby hairs. I'm tired of seeing it. Y'all have got to let that go. It's ugly at this point. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it is. They be all the way down to your eyebrows and stuff. Down. Come on, it's too much. But for us to see this awesomely successful, happily in love, newly married black woman, and to just, the first thing anybody can think of is to come for her hair. To say I'm surprised would be a lie. Okay, I'm not gonna say that I'm surprised, but what I got from it, because my husband sent me the article. Shout out to the hubby. My husband sent me an article where she responded or something like that, and he was like, "Why is she even responding?" And it's true. Why is she responding? Why is a I don't even know how many gold medals she has, but why is a gold medal Olympic champion responding to people who are watching her life? She's not watching them, they're watching her. Mary Lou, shalom and shalom. I'm good, girl. I'm good. These allergies is kicking my butt. Why is she bothering to respond? It's like this saying that I heard a long time ago. Nobody is shocked when a dog howls at the moon. But if the moon was to howl back at the dog, and basically what that means is people are going to talk about you when they feel you are leaving them behind, when they feel you're ascending, when they feel that you're making changes in your life that may not include them. They're going to have opinions, they're going to talk about you, they are going to say things. But once you realize that no, these are the kind of people and things that I'm trying to leave behind, what they have to say or think about you should be of no effect to you. Here's like it is a very sad and complicated situation, because you would like to think that when you see another Black person doing well, that you would be happy for them. You would think that, right? Like, oh, look at her. She getting, look, a Black family. Look at them getting married. Both of them, they don't have any kids. Look at these two young, successful Black people about to begin their life. Look at them. Shalom and shalom to everybody on the IG. Please head over to the YouTube at Monologue Magad, MONOLOG MAGAD. If you're already on the YouTube, like, share, subscribe. Where was I? Yes. Okay. So we see these successful young Black couple getting married. Why isn't the response overwhelming applause, especially, with the amount of complaining about the condition of the Black family? Why isn't the applause louder than the criticism? And you might be like, oh, why are you trying to focus on Black women? Because that's what I am. That's how I live. This is what I've personally experienced and witnessed. So that is what I go on. I'm not saying other cultures don't have infighting, but I just, I'm speaking from my personal experience. And it's real, it's sad, right? Even even our parents, as much as they say, oh, I want you to have more than I did, I want you to do more than I did, I want this for you, I want that for you. A lot of times we will come to realize that they have their own idea of what they want for us. And a lot of times when it doesn't line up with our idea, or when it doesn't line up with what's actually happening, then that causes problems in that relationship as well. And it's really sad, because you would think like, okay, if we all come together, if we all work together, then it'll be better in the long run for all of us, right? I mean, how many times do we have to see where us how many times do we have to see failure because we will not cooperate with each other? And this is again what's so sad about not being taught the truth of the Bible, because even as far back as fleeing from Egypt, even then, you know, people had a problem with Moses then because he was going and talking to the Most High. Well, what y'all want to do? All y'all want to do is complain. So what you want to do? Y'all don't want to talk to him. Remember, he started giving them the law, and they was all like, "Oh no, never mind. We can't deal with this." And then what? Moses had to come down to them worshiping a calf. It's like thing after thing after thing. And this is why it's like so hurtful that we don't know this. Because maybe it will help some of us see, like, no, we keep doing this, and this is not right. We cannot be happy for one another. And it's really sad. We can't look at another Black person and here's the thing, right? Here's the problem with not facing reality. You won't take accountability for your own decisions, for the choices that you made in your own life. And because you won't do that, it won't allow you to be happy for anybody else. Because in your mind, it's always somebody else's fault of why you didn't make it the way you thought you should have made it, or why your life isn't looking the way you thought it should have looked. So it's everybody else's fault. So when you see somebody else getting ahead, your first thought is not, oh, wow, that person worked really hard. Maybe I can learn something from them. Your thought is, what they got that I ain't got? She ain't all that. I could have had that too. And here's the problem. Listen, we all, yes, we come from messed up generations. We know this. We are a lost people. We know this. But ma'am, sis, cousin, it's like you keep staying at the beginning of the sermon where you're just finding out that you're lost. Now it's time to move on. And that's being stuck in the past. You want to stay at the point of the beginning. You like to stay at the point of your trauma, because if I stay here, then I'm not responsible for anything else. This is why a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. When you come around with your Bible talk, when you come around with your higher conscious and your personal responsibility and your self-control, they don't want to hear that, because now this information has gotten into their brain waves, and if it's meant for them, they're not going to be able to escape it. And nobody wants to be bothered with your goody goodness and your ambition and your achievement when they're just fine living the life they live and not doing anything else. They're just fine doing enough to exist on this plane, only because they want to avoid the unknown, which is they want to avoid the unknown of death. All right. It's not that their life is so glamorous. It's not that they're happy. It's not even that I love my children so much I can never imagine leaving them here. No, it's just that they're scared to die. Oh, I'm here for you, sis. And so what you have to realize is, listen, if you got it made up in your mind that I'm done with this, I'm leaving this behind, this is not for me, I'm going forward and what the Lord has shown me in my life, then you are going to have to close your ears and block your phone and get off the internet and social media and everything else. You're going to have to. There has to be a time of silence from outside influences where you and God just sit and talk, and you just let him pour into you. And you listen, you have to go through it. You have to. And here's what we don't want to do. We don't want to take accountability. We don't want God to bring our life before us and show us our life. We don't want to do it. It hurts. It's painful. I know. You don't want to face those regrets. You don't want to have to acknowledge that it was all your fault. You made that choice. You made that decision. You don't want to acknowledge that because it hurts. And now, if I acknowledge that this was my choice and my decision, it now means that I am the one responsible for changing my circumstance. And listen, in this world of dating advice and dating gurus, and I know we talk a lot about relationships, but let me just say this now. Boaz can't have your ass if you don't even know yourself. And I know y'all gonna be like, what? I can't believe she's saying this. Listen, a man ain't always the answer. A man is not always the answer, boo-boo. You got to deal with you. You have to deal with you, because even though I listen, me and my husband had moments of hell. Okay, when we first got married, we did. And I can admit a lot of it was me and my stubbornness and my mindset and not understanding my role as a wife in a marriage. Okay, but I thank God, because at least I was willing to learn, and I was willing to listen, and willing to do the work. But if you're not even at the point where you're willing to learn, all you're going to do is ruin his life. Your life is already ruined. Why do you care? You already broke, busted, and disgusted. So why do you care? You're going to go out here and run this game on some poor, innocent, unsuspecting man. And then next thing you know, his life all messed up because of you. And it happens every day. And then you done messed up this man's life. So now you back at square one. And hopefully you still young enough or still got something about yourself. But why do you want to live like that? I know this may sound crazy, but one thing that I appreciate my husband bringing to my life is stability. And, I know we're taught that stability is just like, a roof over your head and, your regular routine and your job and, that paycheck coming every 2 weeks. Okay, this is stability. I know I got a regular check coming. I live here. I can pay my rent. This is stability. But, ma'am, sis cousin, there's emotional stability as well. And unfortunately, a lot of us are not too familiar with emotional stability. And I just have to say that this is something that we have to figure out before we try to do anything. Even before you try to advance yourself career wise, you have to have control of those emotions. You have to, and here, how do I say this? So some things have been being revealed to me lately in my own life, right? And as these things are being revealed to me and I'm dealing with it, um, one thing that I can't help but to do is to look back and see the times when I let this thing cause me to make the wrong or rash decisions, right? Um, but even with that, I'm willing to say, like, yeah, I shouldn't have done this for whatever reason. It doesn't matter, whatever reason. Past trauma, I was tired, I was hungry, whatever. I should not have done this, right? That's point blank period. So I don't want it to sound like, oh, I'm trying to make an excuse because this thing happened to me. No. But what I'm saying is, now that we're looking at this thing, we're examining this thing, we're praying about this thing, we're talking about it, we're getting it out in the open, and we're working through it, it won't happen again. I won't get tripped up by this again. And see, this is a lot of us don't realize that we we have a lot of triggers. And I'm gonna say this, and I know some of y'all might not like it, but I'm gonna tell you why I'm comfortable saying it. Because after 10 years of working in the medical field and the healthcare field, I've dealt with a lot of black folks. And let me tell you, us black women, we are the hardest to deal with when it comes to customer service. We are, especially in a medical setting, because I've worked retail, I've been a waitress, I worked in restaurants. In a medical setting, I hate to see a black woman coming. I'm not gonna lie. It, and I get that I get that it's a tense situation. I get that. But it's almost as if we walk around with an air of superiority and entitlement. Um, and I don't know if that's a trauma response or a stress response. I'm not sure why we do that, but we do that. And it reflects in how we talk to people and how we treat other people. It does. And please hear what I'm saying. I'm not leave racism out of it. Leave everything else out of it. Leave everything. Just like when I'm talking to y'all and I say we're not worried about the men, leave everything else out of it. Okay. Because everything isn't an extreme situation. Every altercation is not the worst case scenario. Everything that happens to you was not a miscarriage of social justice. Sometimes it was you needed to take a step back and breathe a little deep before you answered. Or maybe not being afraid or ashamed to talk through your feelings in a tense situation. Because I can say I'd much rather come in to a patient and have them tell me I'm scared of needles. I don't really like this. I'm kind of nervous. That's cool. I can work with that. We can talk through it. You know what I'm saying? We can figure out how to relax you. We can do things. But when you refuse to even acknowledge that something's off, something's not right, something's wrong, it's like you hold all that stuff in and I don't want to say unknowingly, but I'm going to say almost unknowingly, you take it out on the people around you. When you refuse to acknowledge what makes you uncomfortable, it will continue to grow and to bother you because you won't acknowledge it, so you won't ever bother to solve the problem. Okay. I'm trying to like think of a way to illustrate what I'm trying to say to you, without telling y'all all my business. But I don't know if you've ever like been in. Okay, have you ever been on a job that you just hate? Like your boss get on your nerves, your coworkers get on your nerves. You can't stand these people. Like just you start getting stressed out Sunday morning because you got to go to work on Monday. If you've ever worked one of these jobs or you ever know someone that works one of these jobs, like it's hard for them to be happy any other time because work, and I'm gonna speak for me, because work takes up so much of your time. You don't have any energy for anything else. You don't have it within you to be as involved or to give your all to something else because your work is taking up so much more of your time. So everything and everyone around you has to suffer and go without, even emotionally. Your kid want to come up to you for a hug, but you tired. And not saying you don't have a right to be, but you're tired. So you're not all there to give them your attention emotionally. You're not all there to look at them, to pick up on any clues, to sense maybe they need a little extra attention. You're not there with that because you're so consumed with this part of your life that is making you uncomfortable and unhappy. Even things in your past, it doesn't have to just be things in your present. Believe it or not, those relationship issues, those resentments, some of y'all still mad at your baby daddy. It's been 10, 12, 15 years. You still mad at him. You still haven't taken responsibility for why your marriage failed, for your part in that. You haven't taken responsibility for your part in why the relationship failed. So now every time you try to go talk to someone or you try to get into a relationship and they bring up anything that possibly looks like what you did, now you get defensive and you're going off and you're driving them away. Because you're not willing to take accountability and say, okay, yes, I know that I did this, but this does not define me as a person. And also, you're not willing to let those people go who have no problem constantly reminding you of who you were on yesterday. It's one thing for you to be beating up yourself. But when you have people in your life who every time you talk to them, they're ready to remind you of how you used to be and what you used to do and how you used to get down, what hope do you ever have of pulling yourself up out of the dirt that you're trying to get from under? And this is, we don't realize the weight of certain people's influences in our life until they're not in our life anymore. There are some people who I have had to excommunicate from my life. And when I tell you my mental health is better for it, but y'all won't ever find that out because you're too afraid to let people go. With your mouth, you say, Lord, I trust you. Lord, I trust you. I don't need nobody else. But then in your actions, you keep trying to drag along all this dead weight with you. You keep trying to convince people that you're worth their love. You trying to convince him that he's worth you to like him and you're good enough and you make a good girlfriend and a good wife. You trying to convince it, you're just trying to convince people that you're good enough and that you deserve to be treated like everybody else. But let me tell you, as someone who's had to deal with that, if you have to convince people of your worth, they are never going to see it. You'll stay holding on to a nigga that constantly tells you that he's not interested in giving you anything that you want. When a man tells you you're asking for too much, what he means is you're not worth that to me. And that's okay. That's okay. He just don't like you that much. Okay. You don't like everybody that much either. Everybody has their own choices. I'm learning to let go of the extra 3 years strong in the truth, but it's a battle every day with these demons trying to block those shine. Yes, it is, sis. Yes, it is. And listen, it is a everyday struggle. Okay. I don't want to downplay it or anything like that. And it's hard doing inside work because people don't see it, right? Like when you start working out, people can see that. Oh girl, you look good. Oh girl, you losing weight. But when you start doing that inside work, it takes a bit longer for people to notice that, right? It feels great when they do. But it's not noticeable, it's not recognizable, but I promise you it is definitely worth it. It is definitely worth it. Excuse me. Um, I forgot where I was, y'all. I hate when I lose my train of thought. Okay, but let's go back. You're stuck in the past, and this time we're focusing on the people in your past and having to let go of them. Okay. And please hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying go on a cutoff campaign. Like, I hate when I see those posts on social media, like, I cut you off. Girl, shut up. Like, it's not, it's not as easy as people think it is, especially once you grow to love these people. And as a lot of you will attest, once you come in the truth, a lot of time it's your very own family members. People you grew up with, aunts, uncles, cousins. Sometimes it's your mother and your father, your sisters and your brothers. Sometimes these are the very people who you thought will always be a part of your life. These are the very people that are going to make you choose between them and your God. And I know nobody, trust me, I don't want to look at it like that. I don't want to look at it like that because to me, you can have different beliefs and I can respect your beliefs and we can still be fine. You respect mine, I respect yours, and we can be fine. But if the history of Christianity, colonialism, manifest destiny, blah, 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 if that history has taught us anything, it's that when it comes to different trains of thought among Black Christians, they are not accepted at all. You have, I don't know if you all have ever personally tried to talk about the Bible with someone, period. Even, even before you were affirmed in your belief. I'm just alone with my small girls in the most high, but I wouldn't trade it for nothing more. Man, all praises. When you I remember before I decided that I was done with church totally, I went to talk to my parents about some things that I felt like the Lord was dealing with me with in my Bible reading. Um, and it was just an automatic no, not at all. I mean, they weren't even willing to open the Bible with me and go through it and try to answer my questions. It was just an immediate no. And that should have been my hint right there that anything else that you try to come with, anything new that you try to present is going to be rejected. Okay. And that's just what you, unfortunately, you have to stop investing your emotional energy into people who just are not going to understand you. You have to stop doing that. It's like beating your head up against a brick wall. Some people you just got to let the Most High deal with, and you continue to live your life the way that you know how. If not, you're just going to keep hurting yourself. It's like you keep putting yourself out there to get hurt, knowing that this person is going to slap you. You don't have to you don't have to keep doing that. You, you have a right to you listen, once you know what you know, you have a right to stand in your truth. No, nobody gets to take that from you, no matter what they say, no matter how they try to talk about you or to you. You, however, have to have it within you to say, you know what, this person's response to me is not beneficial to my life. It's causing me more heartache than I want to be dealing with right now. And listen, it's gonna hurt. you're going to cry, especially when it comes to family, friends that you thought would be in your life forever. And I've tried to be friends with people who just had no biblical moral compass. And even with them being good, decent people, like they don't have to be flat out criminals. They can be good, decent people, go to work every day, raise their kids, blah, blah, blah. But if we're not living by the same foundation, if our truth is not coming from the same place, what else do we have? And I know it's like you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to deal with it. You want to, oh, well, I can change them if they see how I live. No, that's not always true, and that's not up to you. We have to stop taking um other people's influence on our lives. We have to stop taking it so personally. And what I mean by that is everybody's not watching the same movie. I say this all the time. I could watch a movie, you could watch a movie, the same exact movie, and we could come out with two totally different summaries. So the things that people are doing that you may feel like is directed towards you, you have to understand that you're not the main character in other people's story. Um, they're the main character in their own story. And whatever they are doing or putting out is a reflection of them and what's going on with them at the time, not you. Not you. And what I need us to do, Black women, and I'm talking to y'all from the heart and I'm talking to your heart, okay? Because we are some emotional creatures, okay? I know we try to act all hard. Some of us do try to act all hard and act like nothing bothers us. But at the end of the day, we're still women. Okay. We still have emotions and we still have feelings. And it is up to us to protect those feelings. Okay. Um, I thank God for my husband. I really do. But it is up to us to protect those feelings. Okay. It is up to you to say, I don't want to deal with this anymore and I don't have to. You don't get to treat me like this. And if someone can't, again, if someone cannot realize your worth or if they cannot treat you the way that you deserve to be treated, then they do not deserve to have you in their life. You don't have to chase anyone's love, boo. It's gonna come when it comes. There's gonna come a man who's gonna love you and those children and change your life in the most dynamic ways. But you have to make sure that you're at the point to receive and accept that. And you can't do that listening to the single girls and the baby mamas unless you're trying to end up a single girl or a baby. Listen, I can't understand for the life of me how I watched Married at First Sight. I don't know if y'all watch it, but I watched Married at First Sight, right? And so it's the show where these two total strangers are picked by these experts to get married. So they never meet each other, never talk or anything like that. They just meet each other on their wedding day. And so they spent 8 weeks together. And at the end of the 8 weeks, they get to decide if they're going to stay married or get divorced. But what just really just got my goat was that Devon Franklin was an expert on this season. And now, excuse me, but how is someone fresh off a divorce going to be an expert in people getting married? Dude, am I does that not seem backwards to somebody? That's like me going to ask a vegan to help me cook this steak up. How? They It's like going to Bernie Madoff for financial management advice. Uh, it's like going to Oprah for motherhood advice. It's like asking Beyonce about being a school. It does not make any freaking sense. Who goes to a failure for expert advice? And yes, divorce is a failure. If you are divorced, that is a failure. You failed at that marriage. How you gonna tell me or anybody else how to stay married? Yeah, thank you. Make it make sense. The math is not mathing. My computer is not computing. That's beyond me. But what a lot of us will do in our own personal lives is we'll take advice from unhappily married women, from divorced women, from single women. We'll take these women's advice, even though they've shown us and proved to us that maybe they're not an expert in this area. And then we wonder why we can't progress in the areas that we want to progress in. Baby, I'm not about to pull up to excuse me, but I'm not about to pull up to like a homeless shelter and ask how to manage $1 million. I'm just not gonna do that. But that's like what some of y'all do. Y'all go to these emotionally and morally bankrupt women and ask them how to live your life. Or you take their advice, or you listen to people behind a screen who don't show you everything. And this is why I try to be as transparent with y'all as possible. Please scroll through my social media. You'll see my husband and my kids everywhere. The house that you see, this is the house I live in. We don't lie. We don't cap, we don't front. We don't have brand new cars, but this is our house. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to act like we out here balling out of control, but we doing all right. But we'll listen to people who put up a fantasy for us. There's a woman on YouTube right now. And in every one of her videos, it's a fake background. But she's talking to women about how to get a rich man and how to live the life you want. Baby, we can't even see your real background. How? Come on. And I tell y'all all the time, anything you see on the screen it's a filter. It's behind a filter. The screen is a filter. Because if you were here looking me directly in my face, there are things that you will see that you're not going to see behind the screen. You're going to see blemishes. You're going to see moles. You might see lint on my shirt. You can see what color pants I have on. I mean, there's so much that you don't see. It's just caught on the screen. But unfortunately, we're so lost that we will take whatever sounds good from these people, right? What do they prophesy to us? Smooth things. That's all you want. You want somebody to make you think that you can get the life you want without following the word of God. That's what you want. And I'm here to tell you that it's never going to happen. Y'all can sit with that for a minute. It's not going to happen. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, then it's not going to happen. Whether you hear this now or hear it later, there's no way to get to your point Z without going through God and his word. All you're going to do is keep running yourself into the same circles of hell that you keep running into. You're going to keep running into the same you're going to keep running into the same people over and over again who don't mean you any good, who were never meant to be in your life, and who don't have anything with your destiny. Yeah. Honey, I'm not finished yet.
Mom, do you know where Dad is?
He's not upstairs?
No, ma'am.
I don't know where Daddy is right now. Okay, but can you give me a minute to finish my show?
Okay.
Okay, I love you.
Me too.
Go back upstairs with your brother.
Okay.
Okay, I love you. Monologue McGad, you're being paged. Monologue McGad, you are wanted in the kitchen. Monologue McGad, we need you in the kitchen. Okay. um, what was I saying? Gosh, she came in right when I was getting to it, and I don't remember where I was going. Freaking kids. Okay, but like I was saying, we keep going to these morally and emotionally bankrupt women. Oh, I know where I was going. Yes, you're not going to I had to look at the time. He's right. He a little early this today. You're not going to get to the life you want without being obedient to God and His word. Um, you, and trust me, I get it. Okay, I get it. I talk to my daughters all the time about how I would get so frustrated because I wanted to do a certain thing and I just knew that this is not what God had for me. And there were times when I would just be like, God, please leave me alone. Just could you just leave me alone? Can you just please leave me alone and let me do what I want to do? Everybody else gets to do this, and everybody else is having so much fun, and everybody else, why can't I do what everybody else does? Why can't I be like everybody else? And the fact of the matter is, ma'am, sis cousin, because you just can't. Okay. We live in a day and time right now. We live in a vacuum of black female biblically led role models. And what I mean is you're not you it's hard to find a black women who are not ashamed to stand on a public platform and say, yes, my husband is the head of my household. I love to cook and clean and take care of my children. This is my job. This is what I was ordained to do. And this is what I want to do. And listen, no shade to women who have to work careers. This is not what this is. But what I'm there are plenty of career driven black women um for you to see. There are plenty of those. Okay? But there aren't and hear what I'm saying. There aren't too many black women who are saying, "No, I'm going to put my household first. I'm going to put my family first. Um the well-being of my family is going to be my priority in my life no matter what sacrifices I have to make." I mean, look, we could have 2 or 3 new cars outside. Sure, we could have more house than we have. Sure, we could. But I already knew. Like I had lived that life, the work and school and career and get this and get this certificate and that license and this degree. I already lived that life. And I knew from living that life and trying to raise my daughters that as much as nobody likes to hear it, you can't have it all. You can't have it all, not at the same time. Something somewhere is going to suffer. Okay. And so here's what I'm saying to you: you can't have you can't have one foot in the truth and one foot in the world. You can't have both lives, right? You can't you can't build your life in the truth and say you're going to stand on the word of God, but then constantly try to go out and hook yourself or link yourself up to people who are not. The two just aren't going to work. And so again, you need to leave these people alone. And what you'll realize on your journey is you will run into people who will remind you of people from your past. be they male or female. And you'll be able to, oh, you just like this person. Or they'll do something and you'll be like, ooh, red flag. Okay, those are pay attention to those red flags. And a lot of people love to say that like a woman will cut another woman off fast, but you'll keep giving a man chance after chance after chance. And I'm saying when you see the red flag, cut them both off fast. Your life is too precious and the time is too short for you to be playing games. Listen, I don't know if y'all are paying attention to what's going on, but Russia is putting it out there that somebody tried to assassinate Putin. And I don't know if you guys understand what the assassination of a leader comes with. I mean, they are already at war, but I'm telling you, like, that's next level right there. Not to mention everything else that's going on in the world. I don't know why you're under the impression that you have time to play with people or with your own life. Listen, we don't know how long we have to be here under these conditions. So, even if, I'm not saying that you should be thinking like, oh my gosh, the world is going to end tomorrow. No, what your mindset should be is, how can I prepare myself and my family so that we can be good for as long as we can, not knowing, how much longer we're going to be dealing with these things. But you can't think like that. You can't grow like that. In order to grow in a new way of thought, you have to surround yourself with people who are thinking like this. You have to surround yourself with people that you can have these conversations with, that can share information with you. You can share information with them. You guys can build upon each other. But if you don't have any of these people in your environment, all you're going to do is run into people who don't understand what you're saying, who aren't interested in thinking that far, and they'll just continue to shut your thought processes down, and you're not going to get anywhere. If anything, you're going to find yourself discouraged and turning right back to the same behavior that you're seeking to get away from. Okay? You can't discuss how keeping the dietary law looks to you with somebody with a pork chop hanging out their mouth. Like, they're not even interested in the conversation, and they're going to try to make you feel stupid because now they feel bad for eating all this crap. And instead of them being like, you know what, dang, I do need to stop, they'll try to laugh at you and make you look crazy. And that should be your cue. Like, all right, I don't need to waste my time. Like, certain times when I get into conversations on social media or even in real life, um, and it could be a biblical conversation, and I'll have book chapter verse right here. But if I see that this person is not capable of like following the conversation, then the amount of energy and resources that I'm going to put into this conversation is going to be limited. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and break everything down. Okay. I got into a conversation with someone about Jacqueline Carr and a picture that she took. And in the picture, she had on like riding pants and a white blouse, but she was standing to the side. And there was a horse in front of her, whatever, and she's standing to the side. And so you can see, her booty. It was out there. That thing was thinging. She got a booty, okay? And so I shared it from someone else's post because I don't like to disagree with people on stuff. Like, if I don't agree, I'm not going to sit there and comment. I'll just do something else. So I shared it from this person's post, and then she came in and commented. And it's like her immediate response was, "Oh, they're hating, they're hating." And I was like, "Well, listen, I don't know about anyone else. All I'm saying is she didn't have to stand like that. She could have stood from the front, would have been a great picture, blah, blah, blah. She didn't have to stand from the side like that." And her response kept going back to what she was wearing. And if I've already told you, okay, I don't have a problem with what she's wearing, this is my issue, I'm not going to continue this argument because you're not listening to me. All you know is what you already thought. So you're not listening to me. This is what y'all got to realize about certain people, especially people who are stuck from your past life. People who are stuck in your past life. And I'm saying that because they're from your past life and they will not hesitate to remind you of your past life. People who are stuck in your past life, they're not interested in understanding anything that you have to say. They already have their preconceived notions about you, whether you used to be a hoe, a booster, a basehead, an alcoholic, you used to cook meth, whatever, a stripper, whatever, sell dope, do hair, babysit kids all out the same spot, whatever you was doing, those people are going to remind you of that. And listen, I'm not saying that there aren't people that you can't grow with. I'm not saying, that it's totally impossible for you to, get you a good girlfriend and y'all growing the word together. I'm not saying that it's impossible. But what I'm saying is it shouldn't be necessary in order for you to decide, okay, it's time for me to skedaddle. That's what I'm saying. You are going to have to live that word that you claim that you stand on. You telling God, okay, look, it's just me and you and whatever you want for my life. So then when people start falling off of your life or you start realizing that you can't be friends with people anymore, you're going to have to realize, okay, this is a test and I got to stand on what I said. God will bring people into your life. He will bring the right people who will give you the right friends. He'll give you the husband. He will give you all of those things. But you have to be willing to sit through the class and pass the test. And there's no cheating in the class. Nobody's sitting next to you to give you the answers. You're proving that you can move on from the garbage of your past. And that is a test that you have to pass alone. It's going to be lonely and it's going to be hurtful. I remember, trust me, I remember some nights you just want a man. Sure, some days too. It gets lonely. I get it. But I promise you, boo-boo, if you hold on, if you pass the test, the reward on the end is so much greater than anything that you could have imagined. And I'm not just talking to you from what someone told me. I'm talking to you from what I know. Like, yeah, I knew what I wanted my life to look like. I prayed about it. I pictured it and everything. But to actually be in it and living it is something else. Like I told my husband before a couple of days ago, like it still trips me out that me and him have like a whole life together. Like I think we just got new phones. So we were going through the phones. And I was just looking at all these pictures and it's just like it's overwhelming to me sometimes to see that. Like, no, I have a life with this person and we have a family. It's and I had for him, he grew up with that. So it's not a big deal to him. But I had to explain to him, like, even the people that I did see that are married growing up, like they weren't happily married. They weren't let's go do things together married. They were I'll see you when I get home married. You know, it wasn't date night and let's have fun and I like you and you like me and let's go kick it. It wasn't that kind of married. So yeah, I wanted this for my life, but to now have it and to now be living in it, sometimes I pinch myself and I'm like, Lord, is this for real? Like, am I gonna wake up and it was just a dream? Listen to me. The fact of the matter is, you don't even really want the things that you think that you want. You think you want these things because you've been convinced of the lifestyle, the image, the changes. You've been convinced that certain attributes that you want for your life will be attached to this thing. Well, that's why people buy certain cars, because look, when you look at a Mercedes, what do you think? Oh, okay, this nigga classy. You know what I'm saying? That's why people buy certain clothes, because when you see that Gucci belt, they want you to prescribe all of the attributes that you would prescribe to Gucci: luxury, softness, just over the topness. They want you to prescribe those attributes to their life. Why do y'all carry them big bags with the logos? Because you want people to think I'm rich like what you think this logo is. I live this life that you associate with this brand and this logo. That's why you put the things on, because you're hoping to attract this to you. But let me tell you, once you allow God to give you the desires of your heart, you will start to see that, like, the clothes and the flash and the stuff, that's not what's important. When you start getting things like land and houses and businesses and assets and property, and your name is on some real stuff, then the light will come on in your head like, oh, no, 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 no. This is what I want. Because that belt ain't going to do nothing for you. Them shoes, that bag, them clothes, even that car, it's going to run down and do nothing for you. But if I can get this house, if I can get this land, not only is it going to do for me, it's going to provide for my family. I'm going to sit down and talk to y'all one day about how me and my husband took I think it was a $10,000 check from a car accident. And now we have three businesses running, up and running, making money. We bought our first home. We own our cars. Okay? They not brand spanking new. We own them though. So it can be done. But if I would have come into this situation, one, with those old desires of my heart, and two, not willing to be a cooperative helpmeet, we would not be where we are right now. And I have no qualms telling y'all that. We wouldn't be where we are right now. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, the things that you think that you want, because like right now you think you want what? Bling, you think you want, oh, if I could have that purse, if I could have those shoes, if I could do my makeup like this, if I could get my wig like that, if I could get my hair like that. These are all the things that are flashed before us that we are led to believe are supposed to bring that fulfillment that we've been looking for all our life. But I'm here to tell y'all, for as long as you've been chasing them, just really sit back and think about it. If you sit back and think about it, some money has ran through your hands. You have spent some money on some things, and them things probably ain't even around no more. Did it make you happy? Just sit back and think about it. Did it make you happy? Did it fulfill the purpose that you thought? Did it fill that void in your heart? And what is it doing for you now? We're so bombarded with what's temporary, what's now, what's flashy. If we're not careful, we won't sit down and take the time and think about what's real and what's lasting. And that's not, that's not an accident. That's totally on purpose. It's the way our economy and society was set up. Because if they can keep the masses of people focused on things that have no real meaning, fighting over clothes and belts, and cars and shoes, things that will depreciate, well, then that lowers the competition for land and houses and assets and things that are going to appreciate. It's like I kind of wish that some of us would realize that we were never meant to be in certain situations in the first place, so that when we get there, we can be a little more excited. Shalom, shalom. Hey, nigga, Nicole. Excuse me, y'all. Like, I remember when I read that there was a time after, I think it was World War II, when they were making black women work. Black women were not allowed to be housewives because so many of them had quit and the white women didn't have anyone to work in their homes anymore. So they basically forced black women to go to work. And so when I sit back and I think about the fact that I get to be home with my kids, I get to cook and clean my own house, I get to care for my own husband. That is a blessing to me and it makes me very thankful. And even y'all might be like, well, I'm not there yet. Okay, but guess what? You were never meant to have, not never meant. If it was up to our kidnappers, okay, you wouldn't have a choice in your life. You wouldn't have a choice in what you get to do. But because of this time that we live in now, we have some choices. And what I would hate for you to do is, I would hate for you to not take advantage of these choices. And now your next 3, 4, 5 generations got to go through the same cycle until there comes along someone else with the strength and ability to break these cycles. I don't want my kids to go through certain things. So I try to end it with me. And I'm going to tell y'all, one of the best ways to end something is to talk about it and tell the truth about it. That, the truth will make you free. Even when it comes to your children, and I think a lot of us don't realize that, you will set your children free. You will prevent your children from going through a lot of hell if you just sit down with them and tell them the truth. Talk to them. You'll save the people around you from going through a lot of hell if you just talk to them, tell them the truth. So, hey, sometimes it ain't even got to be the truth about you. Sometimes it just be the truth about themselves. You've been scared to tell your friend about herself for a long time, and you just keep going with it and keep going with it because that's my friend. And I get that the goal is to win souls to the kingdom, but we can't keep letting that be our excuse to keep people in our lives who we know aren't supposed to be there anymore. We can't keep doing that. Yes, we all have souls, but guess what? You were not called to all of them. Okay? So when you know it's time for you to part ways, part ways. Pray for whoever is meant to minister to that person or whatever. But let it go. Leave them right there where they are. All you're again, you're literally just dragging dead weight, and you're never going to make it where you have to go, or where you're supposed to go, where you want to be. You're not going to make it out of that bind. It's like it's like you're free from jail. You've been in this jail cell with dozens of people and you're finally free. But instead of you turning and walking away, you're refusing to go free unless you can bring everyone else with you. That doesn't do good to you or anyone else because now no one has a chance to be free. You're not going to get free. You're not going to learn. You're not going to educate yourself. You're not going to talk. You're not going to teach. You're not going to spread the word. You're not going to spread the gospel. You're not going to build yourself up so that if you do run into these people again, you have something to offer them. You're not going to do any of that. You're just going to sit there and y'all just going to loaf around. It does no good for anyone for you to stay stuck in your past. You're just sitting there basically dying from the inside out. And you feel it within yourself. You have no peace. You're not happy about anything. It's hard to get excited about stuff. You want more, but you've let your environment, you've let your circumstances, you let the people around you convince you that you don't deserve more. You're not worth more. You can't have more. You should just be satisfied, with what you do have. And again, I'm not saying not to be content. Please hear me out. I'm all for contentment. But there's a difference between contentment and complacency. There's a difference between contentment and just settling. And a lot of us are just settling because we don't want to put in the work. Most importantly, we don't want to be obedient to the Most High. We don't want to be quiet and sit down and listen. Some of y'all have great people in your life. You have great influences around you, but you won't be quiet and listen because you think you know it all. And woe unto you that refuse to listen in the name of the Lord. Yeah, like y'all, well, I'm gonna pray about it. God told me, and you're gonna pray yourself in a circle. No man is an island in and of himself. I'm glad that the Holy Spirit is dealing with you, and I'm glad that God is dealing with you. But at no point is that mean that you are some kind of self-sustaining spiritual powerhouse and you don't need nobody and can't nobody tell you nothing. That's not what that means at all. As you transition from leaving people behind, there will be people coming in and out of your life. Listen, everybody ain't supposed to be your friend, especially when you go about in ministry. And I know it's going to be hard because we as women get lonely, right? And that is the number one complaint I have seen about sisters coming into the truth. The number one complaint is it's hard to have any friends. Everybody seems so weird. Why is everybody so difficult? So I get it. You just got you have to learn how to navigate life and how to navigate people where they are. And what I mean by that is some people come into your life to teach you a lesson, right? Some people come into your life so that you can teach them a lesson. And some people aren't supposed to be in your life at all. And some people come to stay. But you can't take the people, you can't take the once their time is expired, that's it. It's like spoiled milk. Once that milk is spoiled, now it's just taking up space. And after a while, it's gonna start stinking. It's useless. What is it doing here? You're taking up space that could be used for something else. Every time I go look in the refrigerator, I keep forgetting to buy new milk because the old milk is there in its place. So I don't even realize when it comes to people, right? And you have the spoiled milk there. You don't just like with regular milk, you don't realize what's going on inside that container. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't realize when there's a person there, you don't realize what they're thinking about. You don't know what they're praying for, what they're saying. You don't know their movements, their actions, their intentions. It's not something that you want to keep around. And that's something that you have to let go. We like to say let go and let God, but are you really willing to let go and let God? Are you really willing to leave that thing alone, that person alone, that place alone? My single sisters, you say you're dating for marriage, but you know good and well that none of the men you dating is a candidate for marriage. He ain't even in the truth. He can't spell Bible. Then what are you doing? Why is it it's just an endless cycle, right? It's a cycle. Um you don't you, you know okay, you start at point A, right? You're trying to move to point B, but you can't let go of old boy that's at point A, right? And say point B is your degree. You trying to work on your degree. So you at point A with old boy, you on your way to point B. Guess what? Something's going to happen to bring you back to point A. Whether he gets you in some kind of trouble, whether you end up pregnant, something's going to happen. You end up in jail. Something's going to happen to keep you at point A. He keep playing all these games, got you so stressed out you can't concentrate on work or school. You depressed. Now you feel with anxiety. You chasing him around, going through his phone, trying to see where he at and what he doing. You become so consumed with this malignancy in your life that you cannot continue to focus on your future. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Please understand what I'm saying to you. Stop listening to these women on the internet trying to tell you how to play games with these dudes and how to run game on and how to get a rich man to love you. Stop listening to that. If they are not coming to you with practical application for the word of God, then it's some witchcraft. It's witchcraft. I saw one video, I didn't even click on it, but it said how to tap into um how to tap into dark feminine energy. I don't play like that. That sounds like nothing that I want to even like. I didn't even click on the video because I don't want to see. I'm not interested. But y'all, you have to. And I know this is why everybody wants to stay at the beginning. Nobody wants to be responsible for any further information. But you can't keep ignoring what you're seeing. Listen to listen to the way the people that you hang around talk. And then think about where you aspire to be. It's not even the same language. You're not even talking about the same things. You can't discuss ideas with your friends because they so busy gossiping about who wore what to the Met Gala and who baby daddy and baby mama is messing around now. They're so busy focused on things of no importance. And it's just like a plant that's not being watered or not getting any sunshine. That seed is it's gonna die. It's just gonna die off. And then how would you like to be in front of the Lord explaining what you did with your talents? How do you explain that? You know, these are the things that we have to think about. What's going to happen at the end? And I don't, for me, it's like I don't even need to look that far to the end. I can just look at what's going on in my day to day life. Like, man, I'm tired of hurting. I'm tired of being in pain. Like, I'm tired of going through emotionally. I'm tired of the ups and downs. Excuse me, y'all been drinking tea and stuff. My throat has been like really hurting me. It's so frustrating being around people who talk like that. It is because it's dead conversation. Like people who only talk about celebrities is so annoying. It it's almost as if that's what they use to not face their reality. And as long as we can talk about make believe, then I don't have to face my reality and deal with my problems. But once your eyes are open now and you're ready to face your reality, you two are going to clash. You're never going to be on the same page because they do not want to face their reality. It's like Lot and his wife fleeing Sodom and Gomorrah. They weren't even on the same page. She kept trying to look back. He was trying to look forward. And so in this case, she was the one that became a pillar of salt. But look in your life. When in your life have you been Lot trying to move forward? But you were attached to someone who kept looking back. Or you might be like, well, there's nobody. I'm not attached to anybody. Great. Mix for lighter travel. You're gonna learn to listen. You are going to learn to appreciate the absence of people. Okay. And I'm not saying like live like a hermit, but once you begin to understand like the influence that people's spirits and emotions and thought processes, once you begin to understand how that stuff can affect you, then you'll be like, you know what, I don't need a whole bunch of people around me. I really don't. Me, God, and my family, we're good. You'll begin to realize that, see some things. But you've got to commit yourself to walking ahead. You got to commit yourself to taking those steps forward. You can't you're just not going to get anywhere, boo. It's going to be a dead end. Like even the things that you attempt to do. There was this lady and she was high up in the government. She's a black lady. Um she was not the surgeon general. She was not the surgeon general. She was the chief of something though. And her husband and her son had got involved and they were selling drugs or something. They were like out there. They were out there totally living a different life from her. And because of their criminal behavior, she wound up losing everything. This was like a long time. It's like back in the 90s. This happened. And that story always stuck with me. Um, because you know, you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. And not in the, you know, yeah, no, not literal fleas, but pestilence in your life. You understand what I'm saying? Pestilence. Okay. You getting fired from jobs. You can't keep a certain social standing. Oh, what do you mean? Listen, I know you've heard people. I know you've heard stories of people coming up to people's jobs and raising all kind of hell and havoc. I know you've heard these stories because I have. You've heard stories of a man trying to move on and his ex just won't let him. these kind of things happen and they are for real. And see, here's the thing, like that might sound cute and funny, like, oh, he loves her so much. He's never gonna let her go. That's not love, boo-boo. That's craziness. But because you are stuck in the past and you're so afraid to move on, you don't see it as craziness because you're afraid of the unknown. You're like, well, I'd rather be with this. I'd rather be dealing with this craziness, this instability. I'd rather be dealing with this than to be alone, than to be wandering out here wondering where my next man gonna come from. I'm not making it up. I'm telling y'all what I've witnessed, some of what I've been through. You once you decide to leave from a place, you have to leave that place. Listen, when I left my apartment from Jersey, I took what I could fit in my Acura and I sold the rest and I skedaddled. There may have been times in your life before where you didn't listen when God told you to leave something and all kind of hell started breaking loose. People started acting crazy on you. You couldn't figure out why. Money started acting up because you weren't supposed to be there no more. You were not supposed to be there anymore. So we have to come to a place where we are willing to say, I don't care what you think. I don't need these people. Take them if they're not good for me. Take whatever out of my life that's not good for me. But the problem is, once we start praying that prayer and people start falling away from our lives, we get scared and we feel like we got to go back and grab them. Like, no, don't leave me. Wait, wait, wait. I wasn't ready yet. Wait. Only to hurt ourselves, only to stagnate ourselves, only to prolong the unhappiness that we find ourselves in. So I just wanted to mention that because and to go back to the inspiration for the topic, um, I feel sorry for Simone Biles. I feel sorry for Gabby Douglas. Um, I feel sorry for Black women who are in the public spotlight who refuse to comply to the ratchet beauty standards. Okay. Uh, it's hard to be out there and not. I can't imagine, like the happiest day of my life, like, ooh, I'm getting married. And people are pointing out my hair, my edges, and her hair looked nice. So what? Her edges wasn't glued down to her forehead. That's I feel bad that she even felt the need to respond because I don't owe y'all nothing. But I'm not a celebrity like that, so I don't know how that works. Maybe she felt obligated to answer, but there were people who were like supporting her as well. So, it wasn't like a total abandon, but it's horrible. Y'all, my throat is killing me. Okay, so like I was telling y'all earlier, everything I switched everything over. All my socials now are at Miss Mono's World. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Dad told me it's time.
Dad told you it's time. Okay, maybe you can help me because my throat hurt a lot. All right. So I just Once again, let's run down everyone and everything that makes the show possible. My lovely, wonderful husband, monologue. You can see him right there. MONOLOG, MAGAD. Follow us on YouTube and all of your socials. Also at Mono's Westside Bullies to keep up with the pups. We are expecting two new litters here. Two new litters here within the coming months. We will have. So keep up with the dogs and their pups at Mono's Westside Bullies. Let's see if you.
Speaking of dogs, Stormy's gonna be pregnant.
Yes, Stormy is pregnant. Well, we're pretty sure she's pregnant. We'll find out soon. Thank you for reminding me of that. Look, Angelina says shalom, nephew. Say shalom, auntie.
Shalom, auntie.
Okay, where were we? Oh, Mono's Westside Bullies. If you feel led to give, please cash app the House of Mono if it should be on your heart. Do we have anything else?
Good night.
No, we're not saying good night yet. We got like 5 more minutes. Don't forget to follow us at The Print Doctors on Instagram and Top Tier Parties. I'm going to get some captions for those, but those are my sponsors. The Print Doctors, Top Tier Parties, and Mono's Westside Bullies. Maybe next week we'll get Paxton to come down here. Paxton's not feeling good either. We all kind of got this icky little thing going on. Next Thursday, 8:00, same black time, same black channel. Why Boaz don't want your ass? You can find us on Facebook, YouTube. I think, well, no, we'll definitely be on the new YouTube. I'm going to be getting stuff loaded onto the new YouTube over this next week. So, like my content from TikTok, my content from Instagram, all that stuff's going to be in one place now. On the YouTube at Miss Mono's World. What are you doing?
I can't believe you just said that.
You can't believe I just said what?
A curse word?
I didn't say no curse word.
The word?
I did not say why Boaz don't want your ass.
Yes.
No, that's not a curse word, honey.
What is it?
We'll talk about it. This my dad right here. This man think he in charge of me. Why do you think you in charge of me, Atticus? Yeah, he think he's in charge of me. His daddy got him thinking that. I'm sorry, y'all. My throat is like done. I don't know what's going on. Oh, so here you come coughing. So yeah, don't forget to keep up with me on my socials. She said you're too cute. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't forget to keep up with me on the socials. Again, at Miss Mono's World, Instagram, TikTok. My Facebook page is up and running. I did go ahead and change that. I'm going to start doing better. Huh?
It's almost like my name. CATTH.
Yeah. But that's a word. Yeah, I'm going to start I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to get my socials together. Follow me at Miss Mono's World. My throat is done. Can you talk for 2 minutes, please? My throat hurts so bad. What you want to say to here? Say something to the people.
Shalom, shalom.
Can you tell them the first 10 commandments? What's the first 10 commandments? Do you remember?
Always keep the law, statutes of the commandments.
Yes, but that's not one of them. What's one of the first 10? What aren't you supposed to do? Say it.
3,900 commandments.
What? 3,000? No, boy. You're not supposed to. Are you supposed to steal?
What did you say?
Are you supposed to steal?
No.
Are you supposed to kill?
No.
What else? What's the other commandments?
Are you supposed to honor your parents?
Are you supposed to honor your parents?
Yes. Keep the Sabbath.
Keep the Sabbath. What else?
And don't bow to statues.
No bowing to statues.
And
No other
gods.
No other gods. Very good.
And
if Paxton has some shoes and you want them, can you go take them from him?
no.
No, you're not supposed to covet. Okay, we're running out of time. We're gonna run through the first 10 laws next week. Next week you're gonna come on in the beginning and you're gonna tell everybody the first 10 laws, right? Yeah. Okay, we love you. Shalom and shalom. Thank you for kicking it with us. Boy, put my thing down. We love you. Shalom. Good night. Good night.
Love you, sisters and cousins. Good night. Love you, Shalom.
Full time.